say a man with a gun was asked to leave a Garland bar. He did, but then they say he came back shooting.
Our warm-up has already begun as snow is knocking on the door. We're tracking how much we're getting tonight and through the day tomorrow.
I have always been of the belief that crisis and opportunity are the same thing.
It looks like a Moses Lake levy for the school district is passing. We talk with relieved school officials.
$26 for every 1,000 miles seems pretty expensive.
A new Washington bill would have drivers pay per mile rather than based on how much gas they buy. It's revving up a lot of controversy.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
It's good to have you here. I'm Whitney Ward. Tonight we are learning more about a terrifying situation at a Garland bar where police say a man shot up the place.
Luckily, nobody was hurt and the suspect was arrested hiding under a pickup. KREM 2 Shannon Mowdy explains what led to that shooting.
No one was hurt Wednesday night when police say Gibson Ricklon shot into Rick's Ringside Pub.
And Mr. Ricklon then stated that he would shoot up the place. This is precisely what he ultimately did.
Court records say Ricklon was told to put his gun away or leave. And he did leave for a few minutes, the bartender told police, before coming back and shooting through the open doorway.
Frankly, he's ultimately lucky that no one was actually harmed.
An affidavit says a bullet was pulled from the back of the bar after hitting some bottles. 2 casings were found outside. The prosecutor noted Ricklon broke the law just by having a gun inside.
More importantly, however, the state would also note that Mr. Ricklon shouldn't have even had firearms whatsoever.
Ricklon has 3 felonies that prevent him from even having a weapon, including illegally owning a gun and assaults. Wednesday night, police found 2 firearms in his abandoned car after a short police chase. His public defender asked for bail to be set at $10,000.
$250,000 bond. Simply unreasonable.
It also seems unreasonable to walk back into a bar and start firing firearms.
He's now in jail on a $250,000 bond. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
Now, as we track a weather impact alert at this hour, we're learning about whiteout conditions causing this massive pileup on Interstate 84 near Multnomah Falls in Oregon today. Originally, the county deputy said there were more than 100 cars involved. We've since learned here just in the last half hour it was more like 20 to 30 cars.
There are reports of injuries, but the number of people hurt remains unclear right now. Deputies also say an SUV caught on fire on the roadway. Crews are still on scene. Weather conditions, though, making it difficult for them to work that scene.
And video also showing a severe traffic jam on I-5, also outside of Portland because of slippery driving conditions. And this was also in southwest Washington. Several vehicles were seen struggling just to drive in the snowy conditions.
Well, now at 5, we are tracking the march of that winter storm toward eastern Washington and North Idaho tonight.
Our chief meteorologist, Jeremy Legoo, joining us now with more on this next round of winter.
Well, it's knocking on the door, and for parts of the region that snow was already falling and having pretty decent impacts. That's in places like Moses Lake and Ritzville and even down to our south. Here in Spokane, all we've noticed thus far is a little bit of a bump in temps. We sit in the mid to upper 20s, but we are expecting that snow. For that reason, we have winter weather advisories in effect here, over into Idaho, down across the Palouse, and even into Oregon. It is widespread and moving in. I initially thought we'd see the start around 5. It looks like that first wave just kind of split us here in Spokane and up into Deer Park. Snow still coming down in places like Coeur d'Alene, though, and down across the Palouse, it is already having a pretty decent impact. Moses Lake on the backside of it, but that less than an inch had some pretty decent impacts, and that's what I expect here. Looks like we'll wind up seeing our round tomorrow morning as well. It looks like it's going to be just enough to kind of mess up the morning commute. By the afternoon, it moves up into the mountains, and then as we move from Friday to Saturday, it's a few light scattered showers before more widespread snow makes its way back into the forecast on Sunday. It's an on and off snowfall these next few days, but take a look at your temps. A big change. 30 degrees on Friday, 33 Saturday, 34 on Sunday. We are much, much warmer, but it comes with snow that's going to have some pretty big impacts.
All right, Jeremy, thank you. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is now officially the new Secretary of Health and Human Services.
The Senate voted 52 to 48 to confirm Kennedy today. That vote fell largely along party lines, with one Republican, Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, joining Democrats in opposing him. Kennedy is a longtime environmental lawyer and an anti-vaccine activist. Kennedy now heads the sprawling HHS department, which includes the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the National Institutes of Health, the Food and Drug Administration, and the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. Also today, President Donald Trump rolled out his plan to increase U.S. tariffs to match the tax rates that other countries charge on imports.
Now that move could trigger a broader economic confrontation with allies and rivals alike as Trump moves to eliminate trade imbalances.
Trump's administration has insisted that the new tariffs would level a playing field between U.S. manufacturers and foreign competitors, though the new taxes will likely be paid by the American consumer in the form of higher prices.
A much-needed levy for the Moses Lake School District appears to be passing tonight after this week's special election.
With the majority of Grant County voters saying yes, the district is set to receive more than $50 million. KREM 2's Regan Gallo spoke with the superintendent about what this means moving forward.
Well, with a current majority vote of 59%, the superintendent, Carol Lewis of Moses Lake School District, says she is thankful to the Moses Lake community for coming together to support local schools.
The levy will bring in $53 million over the next 4 years.
It was truly a community-wide effort.
Money that is desperately needed after the last levy attempt failed, but especially after the district found an $11 million accounting error last May. It forced major budget cuts, including at least 100 staff members.
While this was a terrible crisis, and I don't wish it on any school district, it did give us a huge opportunity to reset.
I'm told athletics, extracurricular and after-school activities, custodial resources, and staff were all at risk of being cut if the levy failed again. Now that the district is confident in its finances, Superintendent Lewis aims to rebuild trust within the community.
Just being 100% truthful, not being afraid to share the real facts and to share the mistakes and all the things that might not be what people want to hear. We were willing to have every conversation about.
She says she's excited to put more attention back on the student learning experience.
Increased programming for students, and increased programming means we will need more staff. So we do expect to hire more people, but gradually.
Grant County elections will not be certified until February 21st, but superintendent tells me she is confident about the levy results. However, the school district won't be able to use those levy funds until spring of 2026. So I am told the district will have to stick to a strict budget plan until then. In Moses Lake, Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
Today, Spokane police identified the officer that shot a person on Sunday.
That officer is Darren Keblish. The Spokane Police Department says officers were near the 1100 block of East 11th when a records check of a man in a car showed outstanding felony warrants.
Police say when they attempted to arrest the suspect in the car, he failed to comply during that arrest, and the man was shot.
Still ahead tonight at 5, a new proposed Washington law would have drivers paying every year based on how much they drive. We've uncovered new details. That story is next.
A week after it gets here, it's pretty much all in families' houses.
Then, holy cow, what a donation! We'll tell you about thousands of gallons of milk given to Second Harvest for the community.